Thank y'all for joining us again for another episode of Pursuit of Purpose. Today we are in studio and we're going to be joined in a moment through remote broadcasting by our guest. But I'm Robbie. This is Chuck. And today we have a great special guest with us. He's an artist, goes by the name of Mesus. And a couple weeks ago, he dropped a brand new album, a joint endeavor with him and another guy named Adam Calhoun. A very successful artist, and let's go ahead and bring him on the air, and we'll introduce him to everybody. Let him introduce himself, and there he is, the man himself. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, fellas? My name's Mesus. How you guys doing? I'm happy to be here, bro. It's we talked a little bit before in the past about it, so it's cool to make it happen now.
Well, we definitely appreciate you joining us, taking the time out of your day to be on our show, to help our audience get to know you. And well, first, tell us your name and just kind of give us a little brief rundown about yourself.
All right. My name, my driver's license, or my name as an artist?
Both. I want to get to the story of how you came to your name as an artist.
Yeah, my real name's Charles. My name has changed quite a bit, to be honest, over my life as far as my music. Biblically speaking, a lot of times this is something I found out years after a lot of different changes in my name. But biblically speaking, that's something that I found out was pretty God would change people's names when he gave them, like, when they found God or when he gave them new assignments in life. And so, I didn't realize that, but it kind of defines different chapters, I guess you would say, of my life. And, before I knew God, I went by, my real name's Charles, and a lot of people called me Charlie, my grandparents, my parents, stuff like that. And I kind of picked up the nickname Charlie Hustle, and I kind of like started, I guess you would say, rapping with that name. And then, but it was kind of more like, I don't know, it was almost like so much of a nickname. It was like my name. So I kind of felt like I needed like an actual rapper name. And that's where I came up with this name called Devious. And that stood for dope vocal skills. And, I thought that was pretty cool. And then I ended up giving my life over to God a couple years after I picked that name. And literally the day after I gave my life to Christ, I read a dictionary, and I'd never looked up the meaning of that name. And I looked up devious, and it was the word directly under devil in this dictionary that I looked at literally the day after I gave my life to Christ. So it's pretty telling to me that was not what God wanted me to go by. And so I flipped to the beginning of that dictionary. It was this little small like pocket dictionary that was at my uncle's mechanic shop. And I got to the name absolute. Well, I got to the word absolute, and I read the definition of that, and it said pure, free from restriction, definite. And I thought that was very, very defining of who I was at that moment, who I felt like God had turned me into. And I went by that name for a long time. I went by Absolute for about 15 years. And then something just kind of started tugging me away from that. And I didn't really know what names to go by. So I started just going by my government name, which is Cosetti, my last name. And then I was still like, that's cool, but I kind of wanted something that was, again, I don't know why, but I just felt like I needed this artist name. And so I went to my initials, which at the time are CJC. And I thought that was kind of cool because it's like CJC, like C Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a pretty cool name. And I was also leaning towards like the Christian rap lane at this point in my life too. I was starting to kind of feel like maybe that's what kind of music I should make, because I talk about my faith a ton, but I don't necessarily fit inside the Christian rap parameters. Basically, I cuss, and a lot of people that's not Christian rap, I guess, apparently. Um, so anyways, that was kind of like I started making pages for that, like social media pages and stuff. I was like, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go by. And then one day, uh maybe a year or so after that is when I was just writing a song one day and I said, I'm not Jesus, I'm Mesus. I'm just trying to stand for believers who know we ain't perfect, but he is. And I like paused, like right while I was writing that, and I just stopped and I was like, huh, like that, I think that's it. And it just kind of stuck. I wasn't sure for a while. I was kind of like, I don't know, but then I just put out a song called Rap Jesus. And that was the first song I ever put out under the name Mesus. And I just haven't looked. That was in 2018, and I just haven't looked back. So it's been a long journey, though. I mean, I started rapping when I was 16 years. Well, I wrote my first song when I was 16. I started rapping when I was like 13. So that was kind of the Charlie Hustle thing. And I didn't come up with Devious until I was like 18. And then I went by D, or maybe 17. And then by the time I was 19, I gave my life to Christ, and I went by Absolute, which I got it tattooed like a dictionary on my arm. I I went by that until, for like I said, like 15 years.
And that's awesome. I
Sorry.
mean, I get why you would focus on your name. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, our name is the first thing we're given when we're born, and
Yeah.
it's what we tie our identity to, it's what we tie our definition to, and it's the highest form of respect or disrespect, but it's the highest form of respect is to remember someone's name when you're talking to them. We all wait to hear our name,
Right?
Like we all want to hear our name when it's called, and to
It's a
give
good
yourself
point.
a new name when you became a new you, I could see how that would have deep meaning and value to you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like
Not saying it's the only tattoo I'm ever get, but it's the only tattoo I got. So I don't
You
know.
said it best when you referenced the biblical history. The people's names did represent everything
Yeah.
that identified where they were from, what they did for a living,
Yeah.
all those kinds of things. And so, as you transform, why wouldn't our name transform? That makes good sense.
Saul to Paul, Simon to Peter,
Yeah. Abram to Abraham.
Abram to Abraham, Sarah. There goes my thumbs. That's so weird because I am not on an iPhone. That's literally just like on all cameras now. It's weird. But yeah, that I didn't realize that either. Like I did not know that until way into, like, so I mean, I've gone, and who knows, I may not even go by Mises forever. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like there's parts of me that are like not sure about that, but right now I feel like it defines what I'm trying to do in music. So
Well, have you looked it up? Like the
Mises?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is, so the word don't exist. But if you do Google it, like, I mean, it's not in a dictionary, but it's in the Urban Dictionary or something, and it's like a form of beetle or something like that. Which I thought, hold on, silence my phone.
Well,
Which was funny, but I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of whatever. But what is funny though about it, is that I was born the day that John Lennon, a Beatle, got shot. Same day, same year, 10 hours apart. So that was kind of weird when I saw that. I was like, yo, that's kind of weird. But and then there's like an urban definition that says like someone who thinks they're Jesus, or it's like all these blasphemous kind of type things. And so sometimes I've caught that, like people came at me like, yeah, you think you're Jesus? I'm like, dude, that's not at all what I mean by that, bro. But okay.
Yeah, when I looked it up, it looked like it meant Jesus in me. Like that's the way I read the definition. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I didn't take it as derogatory.
Right.
And
some people have, but yeah, I feel you.
Well, I admire it. I think it's a cool name. So you alluded a little bit to your childhood. You said that you basically wrote your first song when you were 13. Is that right?
Wrote the first one when I was 16, but I started kind of just like freestyling. Yeah, I just like literally, like while the radio was playing, I just started rapping over other songs like with words on them and stuff, like some that come to my mind earlier, like Mobb Deep, Bone. It's really ran. It was like 92, 93. So it was like whatever was on the radio back then that I could get my little blank tape in and record over or whatever.
Make sure you hit record at the right time, all that stuff.
Dude.
Yeah, I feel it. I was there with you. We were probably listening to the same stuff at the same time.
Probably.
Did you have any siblings growing up?
3. I have 2.
Where'd you fall age-wise in those siblings?
I'm the second oldest. So I have an older brother. He's about 4 years older than me. I don't know if he still carries it in his wallet, but he has it down to the hour how much older he is than me. And so every time we get in an argument, he's like, I am 3 years, 11 months. Whatever. So, whatever.
I'm gonna tell you how it is because this is exactly.
He's also taller than me too, so he reminds me of that too.
Got all the credibility.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll still whoop your ass.
Yeah.
Nah, he's tough. We'll see. It'd be tough. So, and then I got 2 younger. So my mother remarried when I was young. I was 6 when or I might have been 5. It was 86. So yeah, I was 5. She remarried and had 2 children with my stepfather. So I don't call them like step brother and sister or whatever, but yeah. So I have a younger brother and a younger sister. So they're awesome too, but we're like super far apart in age. Like the closest one's like 10 years.
Wow. So the sister being the baby, right?
The sister is actually, I said it backwards. My youngest brother is the baby.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. So this one girl in a group of boys, was she ever allowed to have boyfriends?
No, she always snitched on me for girlfriends though.
So
always.
Did your mom have a favorite?
Me.
I love it.
No.
That's
I'll tell you this. My mother told me one time that she prayed for me more than all 3 of my siblings combined. So, and I always asked her, I was like, is that like a good thing or a bad thing? And she's like, I'll let you figure that out.
So you could tell Big Brother, you could be like, yeah, you're older, but I'm the favorite.
I got more prayers.
That's it. That's it. God heard my name more than he heard yours.
I needed them. That's why. Yeah.
So what's your older brother do now?
He works for a trucking company. He's been like an over the road driver for most of his life. So yeah.
What about the younger 2?
So my sister is like not even low key. I was gonna say low key a genius, but she's like high key a genius. She graduated second in her class out of like a huge school. And then and she kind of got cheated out of the first. Like it was really shady. She knew the girl that's a crazy story, but actually I'll tell it because it's kind of funny. The girl was like her friend, and they were in a lot of the same classes because they're all like top of the whatever. And basically she was going behind my sister's back and like pointing out like little, see how mine's better, kind of like, but in a slick little way, like kind of a slick little way. So anyways, somehow she ended up, getting a little bit better of a GPA or whatever. And my sister found out. I guess one of the teachers told her, or a student, somebody told her, and she found out. And my sister's like the least confrontational. She's such a like opposite of me and my brother. Like she's just like a really, really quiet, just good person. Like, and but she pulled her G card for a second. She came up to her in the hallway and she just said, yeah, I know what you're doing. And I guess the girl got kind of like spooked, and she's like, no, that's cool. Like, she's like, I don't want to give a speech anyways. I was like, damn. She was just like, but it's just the fact that she called her out on it. I was like, yo, good.
I'm gonna let you have it.
Yeah, but yeah. So she, anyways, second in a huge, like over 1,000 person class school. Went on to Notre Dame, graduated from there with honors, then went to a med school in Canada, graduated from there, and she got a program. She got offered a job from NASA and turned that down. and got offered a program, an 8-year program, which is a PhD MD program in Texas, in your guys' neck of the woods in Houston. So yeah, so she took that, and she gets not only, so she's had scholarships obviously for all this stuff, and now she gets actually paid to go to school, because she's on this, there's only like 100 people in the whole world that get offered this program, and she
I've
got
never
it.
even heard of that. They're paying her to go to school.
Yeah, she gets paid. And when she gets out, she has a guaranteed job at the university. So yeah, she's but my mother, so that's my sister. She's just a genius, basically. Super cool too. She's got her first child on the way. I'm super proud. And then my younger brother Andrew he has autism. So he was diagnosed way back in the day at like 3 years old. And he was born in 92. So like you're talking 95, like nobody knew what autism was. The doctors told my mother literally, like, no, like, this is not exaggerating. They told her, if you want to have a normal life, excuse me, put him in a home and just move on with your life, because there's no curing it. There's no, and that was, and my mother's like old school. Like, my mother's a gangster, and she's just like, yeah, kick rocks. Like, that's not happening. So, so my mother had no medical history. She was she did like computer programming and stuff like that before. Never went to college. She had some like junior college experience. Like, literally, my mom grew up like real poor, like, but just the hardest working. She's literally the hardest working person I know in my life. Like, that's where I get any of my drive and anything from, is just, she's just her example. My father died when I was really young. So when I say my father, he died when I was really young. But my father, I call him my father, my stepfather, it's crazy how hard he worked, because he had to pick up a lot of slack. Because when my brother was diagnosed, my mother like stopped working to invest and she didn't stop working, she still worked, but she like worked from home, and she had to fully like dive into research of autism, because and this is before Google, and I mean, like, she literally within less than a year, she was on the news for finding, like, basically, I don't want to get anything flagged on whatever this is on or anything, but like, I'm a rapper. It rhymes with crack scene. I don't know if that's even a word, but so she started finding out that these things that we get in our 18-month, appointments and things like that were actually, like, tetanus, were causing like kids to have autism. And and she was literally on the news for this and everything. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And she just started hitting like ceiling after ceiling after ceiling, because like, no doctors are going to get behind that, because it's just such a big, and we kind of know that, especially with everything that's happened in the last few years. We know that it's a lot more open about how big pharma is, and how much of a money grab and all that stuff is. But at the time, and we're literally talking about like the mid 90s, and my mother, she was like, what is going on? Like, I have evidence, I can show you, like, da 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 da. And they're just like, nobody would touch it. No doctors would touch it. And then one actually finally, like, behind the scenes, start like, I know I can't, I'm gonna lose my license if I like, but I will help you, but I'm not helping you, like. And so he started, and like, we had literally like a hospital in our house. Our whole house got like turned into this like med lab thing. And that was like what my mom did all the time, besides taking care of my brother, and again, a sister that's 2 years older than him at the time. So she's dealing with that. And like I said, my stepfather, gone all the time, because he had to now like work two jobs just to make sure, which he was working one, but he was gone 60-70 hours a week. That was his normal work. I thought work weeks were 60 hours. Like, growing up, I thought like, oh, that's normal. Like, you work 60 hours. Like, he'd work 90-hour weeks. I mean, literally, he was the star employee, because anytime, any overtime, I mean, he was so, which is awesome. And as a father now, and as a an adult now, I look back, but as a kid, it kind of sucked. It kind of pissed me off, because I was kind of like, my mother's always busy with him. My brother's 4 years, 3 years, 11 months, blah, 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 right? So he's older than me. So at the same time as happened to me, I'm like 14. And so my brother's 18, graduated out the house. So that's when kind of like, you know, you're a teenager, 13, 14, you start to kind of like, there's all sorts of crazy changes going on in your life. And I was pretty good at sports. And like the first thing I really think I noticed was like they stopped coming to games. And again, they couldn't. It wasn't like they're like, oh, we don't care about your game. It was like they just couldn't. But like, and you know, you see all your friends' parents there, and you know, it like, and then just so like slowly but surely, like I could look back and I could see like that's where I really kind of like I started really going off the rails like at that age because you know, and it wasn't by any fault of my parents. They're both great parents, you know, and like I said, I talked about the working thing because my dad worked that much, and I still look at my mother like she's the hardest working person I know because like maybe it's because I didn't see him working as much because he was just gone, and like I didn't see how hard he's working at the job or whatever. But you know, it was she's just a hustler, man. Like she don't take shit from nobody. Like nobody, dude. Like
Maybe
they
we
just
should be interviewing her too. I mean,
Right.
you should. Like my mom is
she's an amazing
like
lady.
she just bought a freaking car and they tried to like screw her and like then they found out who my mom is. Like it's just like
She let them know real quick, huh?
bro, like she just don't play shit. Like I'm serious, man. Like after I tell her about stuff,
and that would have been really cool. Like,
what's that?
was this? I said it's too bad we didn't get that part on video of your mom dealing with the dealership. You know,
Oh my gosh! Like
they
they
closed the interview out with, and here's his mom
because she's just this little 5 foot nothing. You know what I mean? And you just think you're good. It's like nah. And then I married that. I basically married the 5 foot nothing that don't take no shit. So
great.
you know, but and I love it. I love her for it too because you know. You know, but it's me. I talk to my mom and she'll say she'll be like, I can't believe you put up with that or whatever. And I'm just like, Mom, I got 1,000 other things in my mind. I don't give a shit. Nah, I wouldn't deal with that. I'll be like, all right, well, I did. I know.
I got this phrase that don't make me call my mom.
Yeah. Dude, you should totally do a song like that.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna tell my mom.
Yeah.
I say that so me and Adam during the recording process, we'd say that all the time when we get mad at each other. Like, I'm telling Mom.
So since you brought your mom up and we're talking about her, like, what she think about the rap career?
Man, she was like the hugest supporter until I'd say like my late 20s. And then she just, because it was still like no money, making no money, costing me money. I'm ending up like I'm losing jobs over it. And, you know, because I just literally had no plan B. I put everything into rap. And, you know, so she's a mother, you know, she doesn't want to see you struggle. She doesn't want to see you, you know, like wondering how you're going to eat, where your next meal is going to come from. And just like, I was just completely engulfed in it. So, but I mean, she believed in me. She would say it all the time. You know, I know you have a gift. I know you're good at this. My grandmother, her mother too. She passed away, but before she did, she wrote this like really beautiful like note to me that I still have to this day about being a light in the darkness and stuff. And so like my mother believed in me a ton. And then, but it was like, I had to like, she kind of had to detach herself from it at a point because, you know, it's one thing to believe in your kid, you know, it's another thing when they're a grown man, you know, and they're still just crashing and burning in life. You know, at this point, you're a mother, kids, you're 30 and like, are you ever gonna get married? Are you ever gonna have kids? You know what I mean? Like these kind of things. And I think for her sake, she just emotionally separated herself from it, which was tough, man. Because like I said, she was like when like every friend of mine had gotten married and every friend of mine had started having kids and all. And so like now they don't really care about my open mic no more. They don't really care. It was kind of like what I was saying almost like 15 years before that with like the basketball thing in sports. You know, my parents, like, they were kind of my support. Like, if I had 2 or 3 of my close friends and they pulled up, man, I had an open mic or something or whatever. I didn't need the whole place filled, but if I could look over to my right or left or wherever and see like some people I knew showing up, like
The core group.
but now they start, you know, they start getting married and so it was tough, man, because there was a point when it was like you're just on this island by yourself, and like and I think honestly anyone who succeeds at anything, you probably have to cross that bridge at some point. You probably have to get to that point because it really was a place where, I mean, I got so bad. I was literally homeless. I slept in my car. Like and I'm not advising, I'm not saying like you have to go through all this to succeed. I'm just one of them cases that ended up doing that because I honestly, because I made probably a lot of dumb choices. Like but at the end of the day, like the one choice I would say that just superseded all that led me to that was that I just had no plan B. I was like, there's no way. I know I'm good enough. I know that the people I'm working with are good enough. Like I know the producers around me are like, I know the product I'm creating is like, you know, can I cuss on this podcast? I think I already have.
Well, I think you've already accomplished that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to, believe it or not, I've been trying not to, but like I know,
brother.
Huh? Okay.
Just be yourself.
All right, you get ready for the beat bun. But like I knew the product that I was making was just like killing everybody else. Like, and I don't mean I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I mean like quality wise, I was like, yo, this could go on the radio. Like the product. Now you might not like the song, you might not like the content, it might not be catchy to you might not like my delivery, you might not like my voice, blah 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 blah. But I knew the product was there, so I'm like, bro, I just have to get this product on the right shelf. Like that's and what I didn't understand was how controlled and like evil and like as we're seeing now with Diddy and all this, the music industry and corrupt was. So like I just kept trying to get in a door that God was not wanting me in. It was basically the point, you know, and like I said, like I gave my life to God at 19. So you're talking about, you know, 10 years later, that, like I said, that's really, my mom hung in there for a long time. Cause you're talking about even before that, I was talking about being a rapper. I was talking about being a rapper in my teens. Like, I want to be a rapper. Like and so like, I mean, for a long time, but you know, it's funny because around the same time that you know, like I said, I kind of noticed that because really what happened is like her and I started kind of bumping heads about it. That's the thing. Like and I remember, I can look back and I can remember a time when that was happening. And then it just became a play. We're like, we're not going to talk about it because like we're going to argue, we're going to fight, and I don't want to fight. So but that was when honestly I started to kind of had like a reawakening, I guess you would call it, with God. And that's when I realized how like corrupt the music industry was.
Right.
I just actually started showing my son some of these like a documentary about like the Satanism and hip hop and all this other stuff going on in the music industry. And my eyes opened up to all that. And that was when I was like I said, that's when I started, okay, maybe I belong in Christian rap. But for whatever reason, I just felt like my music didn't fit there, you know, and, you know, it just became a journey, man, like of finding where I fit in rap. You know, I knew I didn't belong in the mainstream because the mainstream is toxic, it's satanic. There's so many gatekeepers and it's a very evil, corrupt business. And like, you pretty much don't get, if you it's not that you can't get in. That's the thing. A lot of people are like, what are you talking about? My cousin's got a record deal or whatever. Like, you hear all this stuff. It's like, yeah, how's your cousin doing though? And that's the thing, is like, if you don't play the game, you don't win. So like there's hundreds, probably thousands. What am I talking about? There's probably thousands of artists right now that have record deals signed, shelved, because 2 reasons. 1, they're not playing the game, so they're shelved. 2, they represented a threat to an artist they already have on their label, and so they took the competition out. They don't tell you they're doing it. Oh, we're gonna make you a big star, and then the second they sign you, they own you. and they shelf you. So there's thousands of artists like that. So can you get in the game? Oh yeah. Like, and God protected me. I can look at so many times. I mean, I was going to record labels 2020, 2021, or I mean 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, over and over and over. First quarter, we go to New York, we go to sit down with all these labels. I met Jay-Z. Like, you know, like we were gonna have a meeting with Jay-Z, Russell Simmons, L.A. Reid, like all this stuff. And God just kept closing that door. Like I said, at the end, like 2000, around 2010, around the end of 2010 is when I really started to, like, God just like basically like yanked me out of Chicago and through like a bunch of stuff he was showing me. And I just left everything and went to California. And it was like, I thought I was going out there for music to like pursue this some connections I had out there, but really what it was is I didn't know anybody in California, and God had to yank me away from everybody, like everyone I knew, everything I knew, and just so I could be alone. And like that's when God really got a hold of me and like, listen, and like sat me down and like, and I remember like distinctly, again, I had nowhere to live. I was living in my car. And so I was at the public library, and I somehow followed some breadcrumbs on YouTube and then landed on this whole documentary of like just video after video after video about all this stuff in Satanism and hip hop and the entertainment industry and all this stuff. And that's actually what helped me take God more serious, because I started to understand how like real the devil is in this world. And then that's when it kind of shifted for me. And, you know, here I am now. And it's like, okay, independence the only way, and they're trying to stop us now that way too. Like, and by they, I just mean like the labels. The labels are, you know, we're competition. Just like they sign an artist and shelf them. Like right now, they're trying to find ways to destroy what independent artists are doing and keep us.
They're the equivalent of big pharma for your industry.
Facts. Yep, 100%.
And so I'm gonna go back to one thing. Your mom now, how's she feel about where you are now?
She's my biggest fan again.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, no, she buys every album, but she bought the Mesus album, and she calls it a mom album, and there is a song called Mama's Prayers on it. But she said, when you gonna make more mom music, you know? Because my Mesus EP is like, it's pretty like calm. I think there's like 10 cuss words on the whole project, like, and I have songs that probably have 30 cuss words in them, like one, you know. So it's like I have a lot of aggressive music, a lot of music that's very in the face of what's going on in our world. And so, but that album I kind of just like, that's why I called it Mesus, because it's like I didn't want, it's got nothing to do with anything else going on in the world, or it's just, this is just a little quick glimpse into me. And
you kept it from controversy and made it more about
100%. She loves. She's like, I know every word to that album. And
yeah, I hear you say you're a dad.
Yeah, 2 boys.
Yeah, so you can definitely relate to mom. As a parent, you know, we hate to see our kids hurting and suffering.
Yeah,
made worse how much we can't control it at times, like if their heart gets broken or something like that. That, you know, and there's only so much that we can do. So right. It seems like God bless mom with her own little escape too. You know, she just like he pulled you up and dropped you in California. Mom's like, I got to get away for a little bit.
So I was going. So I was me in school did not play nice. So I didn't do well in high school. I didn't even make it through 8th grade actually, and then somehow, again, my mom don't take no shit. I ended up in high school. Like, I didn't graduate 8th grade, but I became a freshman the following year. So I don't know how. I don't know, but so I started off doing all right in high school, and then sophomore year I failed the entire year, like literally every class, and I never really bounced back. And by junior year I dropped out, and so I just, you know, I hated school basically. And I think I was like right around that time, right before I went to California, my mother was like, you gotta have some kind of a backup. You gotta have a backup. This is like I said, she was starting to look at like, I'm getting older, like you gotta have something. And so she's like, why don't you just take some college classes for something? And so I went to the junior college in my town, and I started taking a course about global supply management, which is logistics management basically. And it was cool because like most of the jobs that I did have were like warehouse jobs or labor jobs or whatever. So I was like, well, I looked into it and I was like, what's a job that I could do that, you know, that won't drive me crazy and that makes a lot of money. And warehouse management was those guys make, the upper guys in warehouses like they make, six figures, good money. So I was just like, that's, whatever, it's a good plan B, but it was literally just to appease my mother. Like it was just like I had no interest in it. And so anyways, I was doing that. Um, and then, like I said, I really started feeling pulled to California, and I was about I think I was like 3 weeks or something like that away from graduating. And I was just like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go. And my mother was just like, she's like, I'm gonna finish your classes because you're not blowing this. Like, and so she like, I was like, whatever, okay. Like, but that was like the kind of, I like you said, that I kind of helped her with the letting go thing with that decision. That decision was just like, but I genuinely felt called, and I to this day I don't regret. Like I think it was the right choice. But I was like, I don't think you get it, Mom. Like I know God is telling me to go to California, and you told me I'm supposed to listen to God. And like I've been ignoring God because what? Because I'm gonna go to college and be a warehouse manager. I'm like, that's not what I'm supposed to be. And she's just like, you can wait another 3 weeks. I'm like, I've been pushing this off since I started college. Like I've been like known this. I just haven't brought it up to you, and so it was a pretty tough. And so she ended up having like she did most of it was all like online stuff she did. It was just a couple like tests or whatever. And my mother is in that field, so like that's what she ended up doing once she got back into work. She does like logistics for like trains, like cross, so and trucks and stuff. So like it was like, nothing to her to do it. But yeah. Yeah, when I made that choice, I think it was just like I remember a conversation. She's like, you're on your own. Like, she's like, after this, you make this choice. She's like, whatever. You better be right. She's like, you better be right because like I'm done. Like I can't do this anymore. And the crazy thing is it still took another 9 years, 10 years, basically 10 years before like I actually like broke into the music industry.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
What year did you get married?
I got married on National Quarantine Day. Cheers. I got married March 11th, 2020. So
now that's a man with a good memory.
Telling you.
So
kind of hard to forget the day the government shut us all down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't forget that. How did you meet this? I'm going to paraphrase you a little bit. This little firecracker.
We met on Instagram.
Okay.
She slid in my DM. Yeah. No, she sent me a message and I thought it was hilarious. And that's why it caught my attention.
Can you share it or is it inappropriate?
No, not at all. It's not inappropriate. So my wife's Vietnamese, and 100% born in Vietnam, moved here when she was 10 years old. And she she she's like got she's into working out and all that. So it was like her profile picture is like her like flexing like this, and
Yeah.
she's got these Jordans on though in the pic, like she's wearing like, and I'm from Chicago, like I'm a sucker for Jordans.
Yeah.
So like I'm like, who the heck is this chick? And she says, "Love your music, my guy. More, please." And I was just like, because this was right when my music started to catch like some traction.
Yeah.
And like, let's just say, like you said, the question you asked, is it appropriate? Like I was getting plenty of that, you know what I mean? And so it was like a breath of fresh air, because it was just like, oh, like
A simple
she didn't even like compliment me. Like she didn't even say like, oh, you're so sexy, or what, like, you know what I mean? Like what like just the typical like, okay, cool, whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like you don't even know me. You just saw I have a video that's doing well or something. Like it was
Right.
cool for her to say that. And now knowing her as long as I know her, and you know her personality, it's just funny because like it was genuinely a very innocent, like just like, you know, yeah, she is who she is, like 100%, like no filter, but like um just a very like honest person. And so it was just funny because like she speaks fluent English, but like, you know, there's still little English Vietnamese barriers. And so like every once in a while, and I think she's getting a little lazy with me now because she knows like I know what she means anyways. Like, but like there's little things that she does, and like so it's just funny like going back and thinking about that message, because you know like if I didn't respond, like, and she'd just keep listening to my music and probably wouldn't even thought nothing. You know what I mean? Like it was like me actually
Become Jesus. She just,
yeah.
genuinely liked your sound.
Yeah, it was just, but then like I it took me like actually like, dang, what's up? Like, who are you? You know what I mean? And then she kind of like, you know, and we had like really cool conversation, and from there it really built into something
So did
else.
she
But
ever ask you the question, so how many girls in your inbox are you answering?
yeah, I don't know if I was honest, but no, I'm totally joking.
That's great.
No,
He
she
loves
she
art,
did.
and not just the Viking look. You guys look like sons of Ragnar, and I'm a Viking heritage, and I love it. Skull, and so, but she definitely wasn't smitten by all that. She's like that guy.
No.
That guy, I love it.
No, she did. I mean, she asked, and and the thing was, I'd read stuff, you know, but like yeah, there was a lot of stuff I didn't. And I honestly, I was pretty like, I was pretty jaded at the time that
I bet.
because I was jaded to that, and I was also like, I had I was single for like for the first time in my life, to be honest, for like a long time. I was single for like almost 3 years, and I was like, and then all this stuff with my music stuff started moving, and I was kind of like cool with it. Plus, I'd been on tour for the last 2 years with Adam, and so like on tour, it's just they're just everywhere. Like, and so it's like you get kind of just like numb to it. You're just it's kind of like whatever. Girls definitely get like that kind of attention from dudes way more than I think the other way around. So it's like it's kind of like, but I feel like that's how it just like drop dead gorgeous girl feels. Like they just at a certain point they're just kind of like whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's so because it's I always used to joke like with Adam. I'd even say that. Like I'd be like, you know what's funny? I was like, I don't remember girls just throwing themselves at me and just saying how hot I was 2 years ago. And I'm like, I don't think I've changed much. I don't think I look any different. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so weird. It's like something happened, you know, it's something magical happened, you know, and we'd be joking because it's just like, it's so, you could tell who's sincere, you know, and I'm not saying you can't be attracted to someone who has some kind of influence or money or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, but it's like you can also tell who's just completely that's what it is for them. That's what they're attracted to. You know what I mean? And it's just, and that's she not at all. Like that was not at all the way she came at me. Even like we talked for a while, and it was just totally like I was super intrigued because I'd never even basically known any Asian people in my life. Where I grew up, it was Hispanic or black or white. Like, so I didn't really know any Vietnamese people. I didn't know any like Asian culture. So I was just kind of like interested in her. Like I was just like, wow, this is very different and
You were fascinated.
Yeah. And it's a very beautiful culture, man. The Vietnamese culture is it's super cool how close knit they are and how they look out for each other.
Big family.
Yeah. And we got married, her whole family, like it was before even we got married, like her family they love me like immediately. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. I love her family. They're awesome people.
They got a good sense of humor.
They do. They make fun of me all the time. So
yeah. So you guys have one kid?
Two kids. Two boys. Yeah. Two. They're my stepchildren. So yeah.
How old are they?
Kingston, who's on the other side of that wall over there, is 16, and then Jaden is 19. He's
16 and 19.
Yeah. So they're one's just starting to drive and one's just starting to drive me crazy. So,
well, I don't know if you'd be into it or not. I don't know if she'd permit you, if they'd permit you, but if we'd love to have a picture of the family whenever the time permits.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you something crazy. Do you consider yourself, I know that you're not done. You're still in the middle of your career and you're still headed up. Do you consider yourself successful?
Yeah. I'm doing what I love for a living. So that's absolutely, man.
Do you consider yourself a leader?
Yeah. By definition, but I didn't like ever try to be one.
Well, then you said by definition. So tell me what you define a leader as.
Someone who turns around and sees people following them.
That's not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Mm-hmm.
Good answer.
That's where I'm at. And sometimes I don't even like thinking about it because it's a especially when you're a Christian and you care about the way your influence impacts other people. I sometimes I think I purposely try to forget about that. There's been a lot of times when I've wanted to like delete all my social media and all that stuff and just, I don't know, go back to a normal job.
Quote unquote normal.
Yeah, but I can't. There's no way. This is who I am, and there's no way. Like I drove myself through hell to get here. There's no way I could go back to doing something. And not that it's like, oh, that's beneath me. It's just like, this is who I'm supposed to be. That's just period. I miss it. I genuinely miss going out and getting my hands dirty and working on the job sites and stuff. Sometimes when I'm like just driving around, you see, like, they're building in my neighborhood, and there's like days when I'm just like, I just want to go. I'll work for free. I don't even care. Like, I just want to carry shit and hit stuff with a hammer. Like, it's because that exact reason. Like, it's not the stress of getting, oh my gosh, I gotta get up and record a song. No, I love doing that. It's the other stuff that comes with it, and that is a whole new thing that I'm not used to at all. Because I had a few friends that believed in me and supported, like, with an encouraging, but I never felt like, oh, I'm leading these guys like that. But it is a position I'm in now, and it's humbling. And anytime somebody says something that kind of reminds me of it, that's always how I respond is because I don't know what else to say other than I'm just like, that's humbling, man. I don't know what else to say. So
Well, I mean, you did great. How is the independent artists in your genre? How is that community? Do y'all stick together? I know you and Adam Calhoun, I know y'all are close. I know, you know, y'all come up together and everything, but I mean, you got other guys out there, a lot of them. In fact, there's quite a few now. If you want to mention some of their names, be my guest, but I'd love to hear, like, what's that community like? Do y'all support each other? Do y'all, I mean, is there any animosity? I mean, how does that work?
I think it's a little of both. You know, it's there's definitely, because there's a lot of different pockets of independent, you know, artists, for sure. So I think it's just like anything, you kind of gravitate to who who you relate to. So you got, you know, this kind of style of artists, and then, you know, but I would say that I've never really experienced any hate from any of the independent artists that I've met, and even ones online. I don't think anyone's ever yeah, I mean, everybody, you know, for the first, like I said in one of my songs, I said, you know, 5 albums with no feature, I stand on my own too. Like because a lot of people don't understand like how hard that is to do, I guess, you know. And also a lot of people know me behind the scenes, and they know that I'm friends with people like Adam and some other people, and to not do that, you know, to not work, you know, it was just a statement in a song that I was trying to make, you know, about, you know, it was kind of one of them talk your shit songs, but it was like, but you know, I love working with people that, you know, like I never am like an opportunist. I'm never like, oh, this dude's buzzing right now, let me holler, or oh, this dude's. It's always like right now, I have songs that I one song that I think Dax would be like perfect for. Dax isn't even independent, by the way, anymore.
Right.
Like he was independent, but like he's signed now. But like, you know, I have, you
But that
know,
would keep you from working with him, would it?
no, not necessarily. It's more, you know, it's more loopholes and red tape you
Yeah.
got to get through. But
But you
yeah, I
still
mean,
love his sound. You still like his music.
yeah. So yeah, I don't care if people sign. Like to
Yeah.
me, like I think if you can increase your reach, and you can open more doors for your music to get heard, um, you know, it just depends what kind of deal you're signing and all that other stuff, but and what you do for it. If you don't compromise morally and things like that, I mean, whatever, that's awesome. And there is deals like that available for artists now because of the internet giving artists leverage to negotiate. Even back in the day, there were a few artists, or you know, like very few, but like Master P and like a couple other guys like Cash Money, like some of these guys, like because they just made enormous amounts of money, and it's just like a mom and pop shop that's killing it, and then the big business comes in and wants a piece of the pie, but they don't change the recipe. You know what I mean? They just, that's the thing. Like if you can get that kind of a deal, that's sweet, because now you know, it's like, oh, I want 100% of $1 million, or you can get 75% of $10 million. You know what I mean? Like it's, the math ain't mathing, dude. You know what I mean? And it's just like people, and again, it's not about the money. If it's 10 times the business, that means you're reaching 10 times the people too, like obviously, so probably more, to be honest. So it's like, that's what it really matters to me at the end of the day, is like I want my music to reach more people. So there's, if there was an opportunity to do that again, where I didn't have to change my music, I didn't have to change who I was morally or anything like that,
Right.
and the opportunity came for my music to be distributed on a larger scale, I think you're a fool for not doing that. I mean, the only reason I would say I would understand if you didn't want to do that is because there would be definitely an increase in demand as far as the work side of what you'd have to do, because
Right.
when you sign you do have certain
You got obligations.
obligations as far as like you might have to go to this radio show or you might have to go to and that is the beauty of what some are independent. You're your boss, so whatever you do, you say where you. But that's a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? Because if you don't, it's just like my boss that I worked for, the last job I had before I started doing music full time. He we built decks and fences and gazebos and all this stuff like that. And he's like a very close. I call him my uncle. He's not literally by blood my uncle, but I call him my uncle. And he, he had to go out and get the jobs, and so, we'd always bust his balls because we were like, yeah, we do all the work for it, but it's that's how it is. Now I'm in that position where it's like I have to go out and get the jobs, I have to go out and do everything, or or this don't keep moving. And that's the other thing of like a label or a distribution contract. Yeah, they're gonna get you way out there, but that's also gonna be in like you're probably not going to be home 80% of the year, and if that's okay with you, then cool. And that's the sacrifice that I think some artists, like I would say Adam and some other artists that are like comfortable at this point financially, they're in a position where they don't, they're just not, they're not going to sign a deal because of that, because it's going to
makes a lot of sense.
change it. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and argue with you a little bit, correct you on one of your points there. You said you were the boss. I don't believe that's true. I think you actually have a Vietnamese boss, based on everything I've heard through your story. So I'm going to try to keep
not
you
true. That's not true, white man.
So you mentioned a lot of names about people who obviously who influenced you.
Yeah.
You talked about Bone and different ones. I'm sure you maybe you listened to Too Short back in the day. Who knows what all you listened to?
Bitch. Never heard of him in my life.
So you now are in a position to where you get to leave that legacy, that mark on other people. Have you thought about that?
I don't like to think about that.
Wow,
but yeah,
that's one of the most beautiful parts of the responsibility of being a successful artist.
Yeah,
you now have your very own legacy to pass on.
Yeah,
the question is, what do you want that legacy to be? What do you want people sitting in that chair talking to people like me in 20 years, 30 years? What do you want them to say when they say your name and how you influence them?
I want them to say that I inspired them. I want what I say to inspire them to better themselves. Like my music is, first of all, I want them to know that I speak, like when I rap, it's just raw emotion. So like it is the truth. Like, that is what you're gonna get when I rap. So I speak the truth. I want to inspire people, and I want to point people to God. That I wanted to get a record deal for the longest. I mean, literally, after I gave my life to Christ, the whole reason I was so obsessed with wanting to get into the music industry is because I wanted the highest mountain possible. Sorry, it's on my screen. I wanted the highest mountain possible to just tell everybody my story about God, my testimony. That's it. That is why I was like, I would say it all the time. This is when Eminem's still like literally the biggest rapper somehow, which is insane. But like, you know, I would say this when he was literally like and this is like 2004, 5, 6, 7, like around that time. I mean, when he was just like literally the biggest thing. I I would be like, could you imagine if Eminem just gave his life to God today? Like, could you imagine how many people would? And what I've learned is it don't work that way, which is probably why God kept me out of the record business and all that other stuff. Like, just because somebody is a celebrity, I mean, Jesus himself walked this earth and was rejected by most of the people around him.
Even the people in his own hometown, man.
Yeah. I mean, even his brother, like, until like he was after he died, like that's when James came around. Like, so like it, but I worshiped, I realized this, and this was part of the process I had to work through. I made an idol out of music. I made an idol, not even music. I made an idol out of like idols, out of celebrity. It wasn't them really per se. It was me being in that position because I genuinely believed that was where I needed to be so that I could inspire. I could tell people about God, and like in this one swoop, you know what I mean? Just boom, 10 million people give their life to Christ. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like it's a great, yeah, that's a great, it's a great thought, but the thing is, it's like that's not how it works. It's not, and so now it's like I look at, I guess, to kind of go back to the follower thing. People say you're so underrated. You're so underrated, man. You're so underrated. You should be way bigger. You should be way. And maybe if I did some things better businessly, I would be. I think I can look back. I've had talks with my friend Alpha Tyler. He's my DJ. He's a good friend of mine, and I've had talks with him. Probably, I don't even know, thousands of talks, whatever, about like how much my catalog annoys me because of this or because of that, or because of this, or because of that, because I should have released this day or should have did it, blah blah blah. And he's like a history major, like he studied history, and so he's so anti like anything being like deleted ever, like literally, like he probably doesn't delete emails, like he's like literally like, because it's history, and he and I respect that, but we've gone at it because I'm like, and I want like I've looked back and I'm like, man, if I would have did just this little boom, I would have gotten so much further and this and this and this and momentum, and but the reality is, man, I'm at where I'm at, and I do believe God is in control, despite or in spite of me and of my flaws and what I do. And I think that, some people will say, "Oh, you're so underrated. You're so this or so." But right now, as this, we do this interview, there's over 200,000. I don't know, whatever it is, but there's over 200,000 people on YouTube that have subscribed to my channel. There's over 200,000 people on my Spotify. There's like 32,000 on my Instagram. Like, these are the size of small like cities, like, and it's like you have like we always do this, like I've heard the saying, like, you should never compare because you'll either look up at people or down on people. Either way, it's not good. And so, like, I happen to be surrounded by quite a few. I have lots of friends. So first of all, I looked up to like Eminem and Jay-Z and these guys got 56, 50, 60, 70 million monthly listeners and subscribers and what blah blah blah. And it's just like, and the funny thing is, before social media, there was kind of no gauge of that.
Right.
It was just like, they're the next level up to me. But now it's like we have this kind of a gauge of like, no, you're not even in their world, like, which again, I don't care. But the point is, like, it is a little bit of a bar. You can kind of see like the separation, and those numbers could be inflated. Who even knows? But you know, what's crazy though is that even guys like my friend Adam or you know, some other larger artists that I'm friends with and have bigger followings, you tend to look, especially if you're like driven, and I am driven. I sometimes I feel like I'm not, but you know, like um you look at that and you know, even if you don't want to focus on it, even if you don't want to pay attention to it, you notice it and it's somewhere in your mind, and it makes you feel like, and then when someone says you're so underrated, it makes you feel like um like where you're at is not like, I don't want to say worth attention because that's not the right way to put it, but it's like I got to keep going, and then I'll you know, whatever it is, like then I'll start talking more about God, or then I'll whatever it is. It's like this really deep passion that you want, like, because you're asking about like, what do I want people to know about me? What do I want them to remember me for? And the thing is, it's like um I'm getting to a place, I guess it's kind of a long-winded way of saying, like, I'm getting to a place where it's like I just kind of want to like, I just want them to know like I was authentic, period. Like I was who I was, wherever I was at. You know what I mean? Because we're all gonna go through these ups and downs. I'm not, you know, like they say, some days you meet me, I'm some, like I'm an angel in some people's stories and a devil in other people's stories, like, you know, and both of them are telling the truth probably, you know. It's
Right.
like that's like because we're human, and so everybody wants to be remembered by the angel and by their highlights and all that stuff, but the reality is like I just want to be remembered, I guess you would say, for being real, and like what I put in my music is meaningful. Like I try to make music that inspires people, that motivates people, you know, that is honest, that, you know, and again, the highest point of my music is I want people to understand there is a God, that God is real, Jesus Christ is real. I want people to understand these things and find God, and understand like you don't have to be perfect to do that. Like that's the exact opposite of how it works. You know, it's like thinking you got to be in good shape before you go to the gym. You know, it's you it's not how it works. You know, you start to get your life together and work things out as you have a relationship with God. But you have to start.
So I want you to imagine something real quick for me as I know we've been doing this for a little bit. We all don't keep anybody from anything important, but so you have the opportunity for, say, like a 2-minute little elevator type speech, if you will, and some young man gets on, he recognizes you, and he says, "Hey, I know you, I like you, I listen to your music." He's like, "Give me something." So at that moment, you're the expert, meaning you're the most experienced person in that moment. And he's young, he's probably mid to late teens, probably when you were starting to, catch some momentum with your writing and your recording. And he's like, "Give me something so that I can be inspired, if you will, or some expertise that I can implant to take forward." What would you tell that young man? And you only have a couple of minutes before the doors open.
In music,
In well,
in life,
it could be personal life, but whatever you think that young man could benefit most as an artist. If he says, "I'm an artist, I want to be something like you," what can you tell me?
yeah, I mean, if it's an artist, that's an easy answer for me, because it's just always be yourself in your music, because you'll never have to, like it's going to be a much longer, slower road, but every single, I don't even like using the word fan, but every single listener that gets on board will stay on board, because they're there for you. They're not there for whatever else you just gave them that's not you. So that would be for an artist. For I mean, and I think that holds true for the rest of things in life. But I mean, man, if that door opens, and you know, if I feel like that's, you know, if someone genuinely asks me that, you know what I mean, I'm gonna just tell them, look, man, like God, you know, you have to give your life to God. Um, like a lot of people have life mixed up. Not life mixed up, God mixed up. They think that God is about do and don'ts, right and wrong, sin, this. Jesus, at least as far as God of the Bible, Jesus didn't preach that. Jesus taught life or death, period. He said, I'm the creator, you're the creation, you have an expiration date, and the only way through that expiration date to an endless life is through me. That's it. So if I had 2 minutes to talk to somebody, I would tell them that you might want to, if that's not the way you understand God and the Bible, you might want to rethink that, because it's not about do's and don'ts and rights and wrongs. It's about the creator of humanity came down to earth to personally show he had power over life and death. He displayed that. And all through, if you put flesh and bones on the things he's saying, he constantly is bringing it back to life and death. And that's all it's about. He's saying, you were created to live forever. You guys messed that up way back in the garden. And I had to come back and fix this. And I'm showing you the way back to eternal life. It just like it took one choice to lose eternal life by biting that apple. It takes one choice to regain eternal life.
That was
So,
great.
That was
Early.
perfect.
That was really good.
Yep. Thank you.
So
amen.
we're drawn to a close. Is there anything you'd like to?
No.
So I asked this question of every guest we ever have on the show. Okay. And it should be fascinating with you because you've been really good at going into detail about your life and your journey and coming to this point. But the question is, if you had to go back in time, and for you, we'll say, let's go back to the 8th grade. That was a pivotal moment, as it would seem, in your life. So let's go back to the 8th grade, and you can whisper in your own ear. That's all you can do is give yourself a message. What would you say?
The funny answer is invest in Google.
That's not bad. Not bad advice. Financially speaking, that's
invest
not bad
in
advice.
Google.
Yeah.
Bitcoin
or Apple. Yeah. Any of those.
Man, oh, that's a tough one, man, honestly. Don't follow the crowd.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It is a tough question. It really is. I mean, every guest we've had has had a little struggle with that every time it's asked, but the answers are very profound, and you gave a very profound answer. Yeah. Thank you very much. Amen. Is there any message you'd like to give to the fans, to the viewers and listeners of our show? Anything you'd like to give them in parting?
Well, thank you for spending time listening to me in my life. I appreciate that. It's like I said, it's an honor, man. I'm kind of just still trying to figure this thing out. So it's an honor that people consider what I have to say worth listening to. But on the note of purpose and a pursuit of purpose, this goes back to what I was just speaking on. Your life is there. All creation points back to a creator. And I'm trying to find something here. This remote, this PlayStation remote is completely useless. And if someone from 1,000 years ago came over here and picked it up, they would have no idea what to do with this.
You could give it to me right now and I wouldn't know what to do with it.
I don't know what to do with it at the time. But if there was an owner's manual sitting right underneath it, it would, it would explain. And I would just encourage people that if you want to find the purpose, every creation has a purpose. and its purpose comes from its creator. So if you're still struggling with finding purpose in your life, or knowing just finding purpose in your life, you I would encourage you to find the creator and seek the creator. And the good thing is, I can promise you and assure you that he's not hiding. The creator will answer you if you call out. And just be be ready to be surprised if you don't believe that, because if you genuinely sincerely cry out to God, God will answer you. And that owner's manual is the Bible, and it will direct your steps, and it will lead you to a life of purpose. And so that would be what I would want to leave people with, is if you're struggling with purpose, there's a lot of practical steps you can take that I know these gentlemen would be more and probably share quite a bit on their show. But I think they'll agree with me when I say that it all starts with the Bible, and it all starts with God. And you have to, just like, if I didn't create this, I can't say what its purpose is. You didn't create yourself, so you can't really. A lot of people, the self-help and this, look within and all this stuff, and that's cool, and it sounds warm and fuzzy, but it really don't work. Like, it's what works is seeking the creator and reading his owner's manual. So that's what I would leave with anyone.
That's good stuff, brother. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Amen.
Well, I thank all of you out there for allowing us to become a part of the pursuit of your purpose. Again, I'm Robbie,
I'm Chuck.
and we've had with us today
Mesus.
Yeah, thank
Love
you.
y'all.
Tell them where to find your music.
Just Mesus, man. Anywhere you can. All my social media handles are, right there, Saint Mesus. They're all Saint Mesus, one word. And yeah, just if you search on Spotify Mesus, you'll find me. If you search on YouTube Saint Mesus, you'll find all my stuff. So
iTunes, everything.
Everywhere. Yeah, Mesus. Mesus is my artist name. Saint Mesus is just a handle that I was able to get on all platforms. I wanted them to all work. So,
and for those of you out there, at the close of this, I put the link for Pale Horse, the joint deal you did with Adam Calhoun recently, the one that you guys released a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And so anybody who's out there and you find this episode, just find the link to that in our post. So thanks again for the interview. Thank you to all of you out there. Y'all have a great day.
Bye, y'all.